What's up guys, and welcome back for another EVE Online video. It's Sunday, so that means it's the latest installment in my series on life as a corporation director in EVE Online. So what have we done this week? It's been pretty good, pretty productive week actually, from my perspective and the corporation perspective more widely. I'm going to largely just go through it in chronological order, I guess. I made a few notes as the week went on, so I'd have something so that I'd know what I was talking about and have some memory of what happened. But basically, you'll see. This week I'm sat in GTEB, by the way. You can probably tell from the number of guests. Just picking up a couple of bits to carry on with prospect manufacturing, which I'll touch on a little bit later. Just getting some mood materials for that. And for anyone that's interested, this is the Astro, obviously, and the skin is the Death Glow. I've forgotten the name of it right now. Let's just have a quick check. Death Glow Hunters. So it's the same skin as I've got on my Gila. I've got it on the Astro as well, and I really quite like it. It's I think it would be a good skin for PvP. I'm obviously a bit of a Care Bear, but yeah. So if you're interested, that's what this is. Anyway, so I started the week shortly after I released the video last Sunday. I was just chilling in the C1, having a look around, and we had a couple of wormholes open up, frigate-sized holes into nullsec. So I went for a little bit of an explore, and it was in one of them was EOL, end of life, so it would have collapsed in the next couple of hours. So I didn't do too much looking around outside there, but we were in Delve as well, and with obviously all of the stuff that's happening in Delve at the moment with the war, decided not to go and explore too much, especially with the hole about to collapse behind me. But then when I popped out in the other one, it was in Ethereum Reach, which, if you're not aware, is drone space in nullsec. I initially got quite excited because in the system I popped out in, there was a mercoxite deposit, which again, if you're not aware, mercoxite is the rocks that you get morphite out of. Let's just have mercoxite, this stuff, and you get morphite out of it. So it's nullsec exclusive, and is quite difficult to come across, and you need a whole different setup to mine it and things. You need the deep core mining lasers or deep core strip miner, and possibly even the crystals to be able to mine it. So I saw that, got quite excited, jumped back in to the wormhole to have a look at whether I had the right stuff for it. I didn't, so then had to pop out, fly to market, bought some strip miners, bought some deep core strip miners, some deep core. So if, let me just go in here. You can see what it used with. Here you go. Modulated deep core strip miner 2s and modulated deep core miner 2s. Picked up a couple of those. There are Tech 1 versions. Actually, there aren't of the strip miner. So yeah, as Tech 2 only. So it's this is just to demonstrate that mining mercoxite isn't that easy. So you have to have Tech 2 lasers for on a strip miner, but you can get a Tech 1 one on mining lasers. So that would work on a Venture or a Prospect or an Endurance. So I popped to market to go pick up some of these, then picked up some crystals as well. Made my way back to the wormhole and spent a little while doing that, but it was like, yeah, okay, good, ready to go. I'll go and get some good mining done. Because I had warped to the site as well in my cloaky, and there were no rats in the belt, so I was like, lovely. Local was empty, so I was like, okay, let's use this opportunity and get some mercoxite. So when I walked back out in my Venture, because it's a frigate-sized hole only, so no mining barge could fit through the wormhole, only the Venture or the Tech 2 frigates. So I popped out, walked into belt, started mining, and within 20 seconds, nullsec rats flew in. So it's drone space, so they were drone rats. There was a battleship and a few cruisers in there, and obviously I'm in a little venture, so that was time fairly wasted. I mean, now I've got the stuff in the wormhole, which is good. But yeah, I didn't, and I can't clear them in my Astro. I'm not going to take on battleship and cruiser wave of rats in this thing. I just don't think I'd have the DPS to get through the battleship rat. So yeah, that was a bit of time wasted to start the week. I got excited, was keen to be able to mine some Macoxic, and that's something we're always keeping our eyes peeled for. Is if from either of the wormholes we have exits into low or nullsec, we check out the local space and then ideally go and mine if we can, because because of the resource changes, it gives us access to the minerals that we can no longer get in wormhole or high sec. So that was a bit of excitement to start with, and then obviously it just ended up being time wasted. But so then I just jumped back in my Astro and went exploring, because it was nullsec, there was unoccupied, I wanted to go see what was going on, and there are also in drone space there are special data and relic sites. I think the ones I was finding were just relic, I can't remember now, but they are specific types of data and relic sites that are quite easy to hack once you found them, but they have the augmented and integrated drone blueprint copies. So again, if I go to augmented, we've got drones, faction story. So all of these, anything that's augmented or on the front has integrated as well, they are drone blueprints that you can pick up in drone space, and that's the only place in the universe, I believe, is drone space nullsec, where you can find these. So that was quite cool. I managed to pick up I think 1 10-run augmented hobgoblins, 1 10-run augmented hammerheads blueprint, and a lot of blueprints for the integrated ones, which are a lot cheaper. I think I had a 60-run integrated ogre blueprint, for example. And you can just see the price of these gives you an indication of the money that can be made. So just as a ballpark, if I go into industry, we'll have a look at this. View in industry. So I had a 10-run version, so these are the input materials. Again, we're just going to get estimated prices here. We're not going to what was I going to say? We're not going to look into it in too much detail. I'm not going to break the market price down, but just as a ballpark, you're talking 25 million input and 48, so close to 50 million output. So doubling your money, which would make this one blueprint copy that I found for hobgoblins worth 25 million. If you could do it for hammerheads as well, let's have a quick look. Again, it was 10 runs. View in industry. 82 input, 83, 129 output, so that's 45 million. Again, profit, 45 million profit for one blueprint copy. And I found a few of these things down in there, so that was a really nice way to spend an evening, exploring a bit of space I've not been into before and getting some decent reward for it as well. And I also chatted to a couple of people in local. They seemed friendly. I think they were industrialists, so I just chatted to them for a little bit before hopping back into my wormhole. So that was Sunday night. That was a nice way to basically round off last week, and I just wanted to touch on that just to show you guys where you might be able to get these things if you've always wondered, or just a little bit of information about different parts of space. So then, basically, we started the week with the mining operation on the Monday. Again, that was quite good. Probably not quite as productive as the previous week, but there was still really good turnout. The issue I had this week was an organisational one. The night before we so last week we had to scrap the or just cut short the mining operation a little bit. So they're always scheduled for 2 hours, but we had to run it just for an hour and a half because there was a heavy ganker presence in the system we were mining in. So this week just gone, we decided we were going to move system, just move over one system which is much quieter. And the night before I had explored all the belts, looking for the ones with the biggest rocks, the best belts to mine. None of them were depleted, even though it was significantly after downtime. There weren't many people in local, just 5, I think. So I was like, okay, this looks like a good system to mine in. This should be good. So I felt I'd done my research. But then I guess this is part of the resource distribution change and stuff as well. But then, so when we came to run the op later, I can only get online basically as the op starts. I jumped over to the belts that I wanted to mine in, had looked at the night before, and they were just empty. In that system. So I jumped around. I think there was like one belt with tiny rocks left, and all the rest were empty. I jumped another system across, they were all empty as well. And between those two systems, I came across 5 NPC mining fleets. So that's probably a total of maybe 13, 14 asteroid belts. 5 NPC mining fleets mining just those belts, which hadn't been the case the day before. So, but partly I'm just curious from a planning perspective. I'm curious as to if you can know where these NPC mining fleets are going to be, where they're going to spawn. So obviously there are elements of the game in HiSec, like forward operating bases for pirates and things that spawn elite rats and stuff. Is there something similar for these NPC mining fleets? Is there an entity or a structure that's going to spawn these fleets? That means those systems aren't great to mine in for the next few days, because that was a shame. And I felt I'd put in the groundwork, and then we got set back like a good half an hour until we were able to find the next, another good location to be able to settle in and do some proper mining. And obviously that's frustrating for everyone involved, right? People want to be able to attend these operations and just mine, get their mine, earn money. Produce stuff for the corporation, feel like they're contributing. If they come online, join the fleet, and just have to wait for half an hour, no one wants that, right? So, but that's my question to anyone here. That if they know, please drop me a comment or reach out to me in game, because that was frustrating to start the week, and I'm just curious to know whether it's just part of the resource changes, and every now and again that's going to happen, or if because I know NPC mining fleets have been around a long time as well. They're obviously not just part of the changes, but maybe the abundance of them is. But anyway, so yeah, if anyone knows about how they spawn, or if there's a way you can find out whether they're likely to be in your system, that would be excellent if you could let me know. And so then we followed that. Again, as I say, that was good. We mined about 150 million ISK for the corporation in 2 hours, so not bad at all in HiSec. And that's a lot of that split between our members. Some people got pretty good payouts. So yeah, then again, as part of wormhole life, so then that's our HiSec to get the titanium, because we really need that for our projects and for trade deals and stuff. We then went back into the wormholes and just ran some combat sites for a little while. I did. So for anyone that's interested in wormhole space and the sort of money that can be made, at some stage I'm going to do another video on this, but I wasn't recording when I ran it this week. But I went solo. We had a C2 connected to our C1, I think it was. So I just jumped in, had a look around. It was empty, but there were 7 or 8 combat sites that I could run solo because it's oh no, sorry, it was the other way around. It was a C1 connected to our C2. So obviously C1 isn't brilliant for making money in, but you can solo it easily in some pretty basic's the wrong word because the Gila is not basic, but you can solo those sites in a Stratios or a Gila, or obviously any battleship, probably most battle cruisers, maybe even a Gnosis. Like you can solo C1 wormhole sites pretty easily. So for people that are interested in wormhole life and aren't sure what the value is, I jumped in to the C1 that was just connected to our C2, had a look around. It's empty, lots of combat sites. So I was like, alright, jumped in my Gila and just started working my way through the sites. And in about an hour and a half, I'd say it was, maybe even slightly less, I pulled in 60 million ISK in blue loot. And then circled around and salvaged it all as well, which is another 5 or 10 million in salvage. But, hour and a half, less than 60 million in blue loot. That's not huge money, but if you're just starting out or you're interested in wormhole life and the sort of money you can make on the side, that was just easy. And again, it's not always available. It does depend on the wormhole that you have connecting to you at the time, but there's plenty of opportunities where this comes up, and you can just go run that. And I will, next time it's available, I'll try and record a bit of footage and just give an example and do a video dedicated to it. But yeah, so that was nice as well. So that gives me some blue loot to be able to fund some other projects. And so that's largely, I would say that the nullsec exploration and the one evening doing combat sites in the C1 have been the majority of my solo play this week. Again, so the reason I'm saying that is this series is designed to expose people to the sort of gameplay and expectation that can fall on sort of directors of corporations in EVE. That's more or less the full extent of my solo play this week. And that's not to say I've done a lot of fleet activities either. Obviously we had the mining op, there's another op I can touch on in a second. But everything else I've done this week has been dedicated to the corporation activities, right? So, and a lot of it is behind the scenes. A lot of members won't be aware of this, and so I've had comments from guys on my first couple of videos saying it's really cool to be able to see this because now I understand what our CEO, what our directors might be doing in the background when you see them online and they're AFK or whatever. Like there's a lot of stuff that they're just doing in the background. So that's the example I'm giving. Is whilst I haven't actually been that involved in fleet activities either. But yeah, nullsec exploration and for one evening, and C1 combat sites for about an hour and a half is the full extent of my selfish solo play this week. So the other stuff we've had going on, this started on Tuesday and it's carried on all week and is obviously going to be a long-term project, is we started coordination of our internal fuel block production. That will be primarily to feed our structures. Fuel blocks are currently a pretty large expense for our CEO. That expense eventually will be transitioned to the corporation when we start making some proper ISK, but for the time being it sits on the CEO's shoulders. And he forks out about 2.5 billion a month just in fuel blocks. That's a lot, So we decided we wanted to start producing this internally, and I was going around the group talking to different people, and found 4 guys, I think. Our director of industry, Stelco, Taj, who's one of our our longer serving members, Beja, and Demonic Cravendale, who's our Aussie member, had all been looking into individually fuel block production, which is awesome. It's excellent that they sort of started to take the initiative. Obviously, Stelco's our director. She's looking into this stuff anyway. He's got loads of projects on the go. But so found that was happening. Tried to pull them together. We set up a separate Discord channel specifically for our fuel block production. And since we set that up on Wednesday, I think that might have been, it's really taken off. The chat in there has been phenomenal. There's been loads of stuff going on. People have coordinated that, we're getting proper PI setups going to be able to produce this stuff for fuel blocks. And again, for any members that aren't aware, let's just have a quick look. Let's pick a random fuel block, hydrogen, and go into the industry. You can see it here, but I'm going to view it in industry anyway because I prefer that view. You need ice materials, which is what all of these are, and PI materials to produce fuel blocks. So for us, not being in nullsec, the easy stuff is PI. So that's where we've started. We've got members coordinating. Stelco's taken charge, and yeah, it's coordinating what PI we need, and who's going to volunteer to produce what PI and stuff for the corporation. And so that's cool. And obviously that's all being operated in a buyback scheme. People aren't just, when the corporation aren't just asking people to donate this. This is going through a buyback scheme. And then the more challenging stuff is the ice, and quite specifically the strontium clathrates. In HiSec, the ice is getting scarcer because of the resource changes, and not only that, ice that's available in HiSec has really, really low levels of strontium clathrates. So if I just, can I do it this way? Yes, okay, so hydrogen isotopes come from glacial mass, right? And so in HiSec, one type of ice spawns within each empire type of space, right? So I can't remember which ones are which, but say glacial mass spawns in Amar, like Amar space, and then you might get I can't remember the names of the other ones either, but they'll spawn in Caldari, and there'll be one that spawns in Galente, so on. But you can see the reprocessing here, that for each block of ice you get one strontium clathrate, which is like absurdly low, right? And so to produce 40 fuel blocks, so just one run in the blueprints, you need 20 strontium clathrates. So you need 20 blocks of ice, and I think the cycle time for ice mining is it as much as a minute? As little as a minute? Ice harvester. Let's have a quick look. This is if you haven't, obviously this doesn't take into account skills or ships. Activation time 200 seconds, and you get one block of ice. That's what that is, right? So obviously skills will reduce this, but say ballpark 3 minutes to mine one block of ice. That one block of ice will get you one strontium clathrate. You need 20, so that's an hour to do one run of fuel blocks if one person is going to run it. Obviously that can be sped up. There are skills, you can boost in fleets, all that sort of stuff. But that's just to demonstrate how difficult ice is to get for this. And the ice belts are getting scarcer. You've got people that are corporations and people that are dedicated to ice mining, and they clear those belts fast. So this is going to be an issue and something that needs solving. And one way we are solving that is with a bunch of the newer members we've got in, but these are the HiSec ICEs, by the way. With a bunch of the newer members we've got in corporation, a couple of them have alts in nullsec alliances and things, and so they have access to the nullsec ICE, and so we're in the process of looking at trying to set up Tritanium for ICE sort of trade deals with nullsec groups. And I'm not going to go as far as the nullsec blocks. I've not got that sort of connections. But any groups and nullsecs that have ice access to an amount of ice, we're looking to set up Tritanium for ICE style trade deals so that they don't have to come to HiSec and their market and the hubs to be able to mine Tritanium or buy it from the market. And so once you're in nullsec, I can't remember which one is it Galidus? has a much higher return of strontium clathrate rate. It doesn't have the isotopes, which remains an issue. But we can get them from high-tech ice. But 104 instead of 1. What about Crystallis? I think is another one. 173 instead of 1. So in these nullsec ices, you get excellent strontium. I think thick blue might be the other one. Oh no, still just one. So any ice that you get isotopes out of is 1 strontium clathrate. The exceptions might be these. Let me just have a quick look. Yeah, okay, so still no isotopes, right? So we get the isotopes out of high-sec ice, and we'll want to access the null-sec ice for strontium. And what's probably going to be the simplest way to do that is, as I say, set up trade arrangements. I've been setting the ball rolling on some of those this week. We've got, I think Necromancer is looking into a potential trade deal. So but fuel block production is going to be exciting. It should remove, we're talking up to maybe 30%. That might be optimistic, but if we can get a really efficient production line going and good trade arrangements, we're going to be looking at up to a 30% reduction in cost currently for the CEO for fuel. And if production gets really good, obviously if we've got an abundance of fuel blocks, if we're producing more than 2.5 billion's worth a month, we can then sell it, and then that's just a direct revenue stream. So that's exciting, that's cool. That'll be good when that goes up and running. So moving on then, the biggest part of the week, and so the stuff I couldn't talk about last video, is we had our town hall on the Wednesday night, and it was coupled with a structure bash in nullsec. Nullsec. What am I talking about? In the wormhole in the C2. So we formed up, and we had 15 pilots in fleet, which again was excellent, and a good number of them were battleships. I think maybe 12 of them were battleships, and at least 4 of them were Leshaks. So the DPS we had on field was superb, and we took down 2 control towers and reinforced 2 POCOs, customs offices, in the time that we were doing that bash. So that was excellent. Really nice to see everyone online, and there was good banter on comms and stuff, which was good fun. And we got to know some of the newer members. Which, as I say, which was really good fun. That rolled into the town hall, which was scheduled, which is the opportunity for the directors to present the current thinking, current plan to our members, and then also provide the opportunity for our members and our member base to offer suggestions and ask any questions about the direction of the corporation and what the plan was and things back to the directors for full consideration. And again, that was really well attended, and we really managed to, and we got really good engagement. The members, I think, seemed pretty excited afterwards. Obviously, if any are watching this and disagree, then please get in contact. But there was good excitement afterwards. Everything that was suggested was engaged on and then sort of accepted and pushed forward, and that was really good. And we presented our plan to do some large scale projects. Industrial projects, and early days is we were looking at we want to build our own Fortizar and Asbel, and be able to anchor those in the system. Those are quite complicated builds. Mostly it's just minerals, which is fine. We can mine minerals for the most part, but there's a lot of tier 4 PI production required. So that's where the main challenge lies, just partly because of the length of time required to just harvest that PI once you're set up. But yeah, so that was really cool, really exciting. there were a couple of pretty explosions to watch while it happened, and yeah, people really engaged, and we're pleased with it. And then just follow up, because I forgot to mention at the start of the video, like I do most weeks. Our member count is still growing. Recruitment has gone well. 111 now. I think, was it 102 last week, perhaps? 111 now, and that's with a couple pending as well. We've got another guy who might join in the next few days, and so on. So that's all going really well. We're properly excited about this, and things are really pushing forward. But also then, as a result of the town hall, we've been in a long-term engagement with a specific player. I'm not going to name him because obviously up to him if he wants to be named. But he has got an alt in our corporation because we've engaged with him a while ago, and he came forward with an offer during the town hall. Excuse me. About whether we could come to an agreement about his structures and the like. And it was a very generous offer. Again, so this is all pointing to reasons why, not only is the game more fun, in my opinion, is the game more fun if you're engaging with people and building positive relationships, but also the opportunities it then provides. So the reason he cited for making us this offer is because he's decided that we're a really good group of people. He's been looking for a good group of people to spend some time with and enjoy his game with, and so he says that he's found that and has made a really, really generous offer for the structures he's got, which means we're going to have a Fortizar ready to go straight away, and several Pocos, and so on, right? So that's really exciting, and we'll have that sorted very soon. The finer details are being put together at the moment, but that's basically ready to go, and really exciting what we're going to get out of that trade arrangement. Again, I'm not going to go into too much detail on YouTube because unfortunately, as part of and if you reach out to, I think, any YouTuber, and I barely consider myself one, but if you reach out to anyone who's making content on YouTube, they will tell you the same thing. There's huge positives to producing stuff and building a profile on YouTube. Just the sheer amount of engagement has been superb, and I love it, and it absolutely outweighs the negatives. But you do have to be careful about the information that you get across when making videos. So I don't want to go into too much detail on this, because there will be some people that come across this video and go, excellent, let's go kill them, or let's go blow them up, let's go do something, as it's just inevitable, and it absolutely is outweighed by the positives that come from it. But I just wanted to explain why I'm not going to go into too much more detail on this. I already think I'm quite candid about most stuff, and it might come back to bite us in the ass at some stage, but for the time being, it's all good. But just on the positives, and I'm going to do a separate video on this because I think it's really valuable stuff. One of our viewers, I think he's happy with me using his name, so I did check. I can just go find the mail. The Eradicator. He produced he sent me a mail. We see we've had a good bit of communication, but he reached out, and after one of my last videos about industrial fits, and sent me a really comprehensive email with a bunch of fits in it, with explanation about his recommendation and why it's good and things. And I've gone through them, and some of the information in there is incredibly valuable, and I hadn't considered or anything. And so my plan is to do a separate video just going through specifically, excuse me, a bit of indigestion, just specifically going through the fits he's outlined in this email chain, and try and talking through my understanding of them and with his explanation as well. Just because I think they're very valuable, and a lot of people watching would appreciate some of the information that's given in these fits. They're all industrial, so that's a porpoise, these are orcas, and a hulk and a skiff. But yeah, so that's keep an eye out for that this week if you're interested. I will be producing that later this week, and I'm quite excited to go through it because there's a lot of really good information in there. And as I say, this is one of the perks of producing content. Is this chapter's reached out, the Eradicator, and gave me this information all because he'd seen one of my videos, which is just superb. And I welcome it from anyone else, by the way. I love this stuff. Alright, and so then what else? Oh yeah, but the prospect production I've been doing as well. This is a slow burn, and it's all happening in the background, and as I said, it's why I'm in jitter now, so I can just pick up a few more minerals. But actually managed to put my first four into manufacturing on, I think that was Wednesday night, late night on Wednesday, and they will be ready for collection in a couple of hours. And I'm excited about that. I'll have 4 prospects ready to go. I'm going to keep at least one for myself, possibly 2, and just leave 1 in each wormhole, and then go and make the next 2 available for. I'm going to donate 1 of them. Again, they're quite expensive, and I've been manufacturing these off my own ISCA materials. So I'll make 1 of them available, donate that to the corporation, and make it available in one of our hangars for anyone to use, on the proviso that they put it back afterwards. But that's sort of 30 million. So then the last one, I will then just make available on contract to someone if they want to buy one. Within, again, that'll be limited to corporation members to start with. I'm about to set a second batch of 4 going, which will be ready in a few days, and they'll all be put on contract, made available for corp members to buy. And then long term, I'll carry on the production chain and start using it as a revenue stream, start flogging it at market, and also then extend the T2 ship manufacturing, I think, to other, I think it's Galente ships. So the the Prospect. I hope I didn't say porpoise before. The Prospect, I believe, uses Galente Tech 2 materials. Prospect Industry. So these materials here, the components, a lot of these, they're sort of unique to each empire. So there's the sensor cluster here, the magnometric sensor cluster. There's a gravimetric sensor cluster, which might be Caldari. I actually don't know, but might be Caldari, and so on. Pulse shield emitter. There's a sustained shield emitter. There's 2 others again, 1 for each empire. So, but this collection here, I believe, is Galente, even though the Prospect actually I think forms out of 2 factions, I think, or I'm not 100% sure, but I think or comes from 2 factions. But the Prospect appears to be made of Galente stuff. So I've now got basically Galente Tech 2 ship manufacturing set up and ready to go. So at the moment I'm just in Prospects, but I'll expand that to others. I do have an Ishtar blueprint copy actually. Ishtar. Put a T in there. Come on, what? Yeah, I've got one of these with 4 runs on it as well, with a slightly better skills than this. But so that's all the same materials, and that could be lucrative is the wrong word because there's not a huge return on it. But mostly I just want to make them because it's a challenge and fun for the most part. And there is obviously, we've got a rigged manufacturing facility. We've got I've got some material efficiency on my blueprint. Oh, I can I think it's 3 and 2. So that immediately knocks down the price. As I say, I've got a rigged facility as well. So that takes the cost down to about 800, and then you can sell all 4 of them for a total 857. So that's what I'm looking at long term. So yeah, that's probably it for this week. It's been a lot of, for me personally, within the director role, it's been a lot of relationship building, some management again, and we are still developing more stuff behind the scenes that I can't talk about in too much detail. There's also a good bit of PvP in the wormhole. People pop by all the time. We try and pop them. But yeah, that's probably it. So I think we'll call it there. Keep an eye on the channel this week. There'll be at least one video released during the week separate to this series. So yeah, thanks very much for watching, guys, and I'll see you all in the next one. Cheers.